Welcome back, everybody. I am Rdawggg with the triple G's, and I am joined by Moogie Wawa and Joe, yours truly, here to help you break down the next game that we've got. We've got the professors who won and managed that clean sweep against Rdawggg, 2-0. Now we're going to be watching them against even worse timing. Um, we kind of talked about our predictions are going to be. Joey, picking even worse timing. Moogie picking the professors, and then putting me on the spot. I picked the professors to win this series. I don't know who you guys think in the chat is going to win this next series. Who is going to move on and move forward? But let's go ahead and see what the roster looks like for even worse timing. So, of course, we've got the Snoop, we've got Ray, we've got Shin, Pablo the Sticks, and Vecron. Joey, you picked even worse timing. Talk to me about what you know about these guys.
I just so these players I do run across occasionally in my solo queue games, and they are definitely very good individual players. And just looking at them individually, I think they have a very strong team. But really, it's gonna come down to if they can synergize well with each other, because I think they're a newer team compared to, like, let's say, the professors in this series.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious. Like, they have a hamster, I think, as their logo. It looks super cute. I don't know anything about why they chose this logo, but this is a great logo, by the way. Do you know anything about this, Joey?
I do not, but it's definitely very distinct among the other team icons, so it's very distinct.
Yes, and now we have to take a look at, we looked at even worse timing. Let's take a look at the professors. We've got Mr. Guru, iDoc, Soul Reaper, Survivor, and Crazy Fool. We already know these guys, but Moogie, please tell us what you know about the professors.
Well, it's like we've seen, it's a team with a lot of synergy. They have very strong, definite role. Like we see that Rdawggg is a lot of the time like a playmaker in the early game on picks that are not really like scaling, but mostly like being in the nick of the fight. And yeah, they basically like getting in home with like very strong team fight comp, and we'll see if they can like get the same type of draft that they got in the previous series, and if they manage to like kind of beat like all those very strong individual player in even worse timing, that I think is the first seed coming from the group stage. Like they're a second seed overall, but they was the one that get the better seeding out of everyone, so probably a very strong team.
Yeah, I am super curious to see who will make it out on top and who is going to win the series. Is it going to be a sweep, or is it going to be a 1-1 and then it becomes a 2-1? Like, who, right? Like, there's so many possibilities. Joey mentioned that the roster for even worse timing, he's played against these guys, and he's won some, he's lost some, but they are going to be a tough match. But the thing with the professors is that we know how good they are and how well they work together. But let's go ahead and see what the draft looks like. All right, so we saw the professors banned Rampage the first time around. Do we think that they're going to ban them again, Moogie?
I think that could be like a good ban. If they don't want to play with it, you definitely don't want to leave the Rampage to Ray, because that's scary. Like Rampage can gank you, can just like be a monster in team fight, and you actually don't want the enemy team to be that strong in team fight if you're Professor, because that's your strong suit. So that's definitely something they can go for. And
there
And
we
even
go. Even worse timing. Sorry, Joey, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah. So they definitely been seeing professors popping up with the Gideon in both games. So definitely they just want to get that out of the picture. They don't worry about that mid lane pick anymore. So I'm gonna be able to see what professor respond with their ban. And it's gonna
the
be the
Rampage ban,
Rampage.
as we called it, like apparently like Professor, like we said, they want Rdawggg mostly like on different like playmaking picks, and so it makes sense that they don't want him on Rampage. And if you don't pick Rampage, you probably get to remove it from the enemy team. So I'm curious what will be the first pick on the side of even worse timing now.
And it's gonna be the Bellica first pick. I'm very interested. Belica's been picking a lot of traction recently in these tournaments, and I guess one of the big things that she's really good in this team fight. So definitely Wolf's timing wants to try to drop a very good team comp around like the 5v5 fights, and Belica is going to be very well suited for those fights.
And immediately we have the Decker Severog. So we've seen already like Professor playing on the Decker on Crazy Fool. Like Crazy Fool apparently is really liking the Decker, being able to do a lot of setup for his team, a lot of playmaking ability. And with the Rampage gone, they decided to secure also the Severog to have like a strong, I would assume offlaner, but can be flexed in the jungle, so still like pretty open there.
And we're going to be seeing the Kira and Victor. So do keep in mind that the Victor can be flexed in the jungle or support, or same thing with Belica. Should be honestly be flexed in support or mid lane as well. So they have a very flexible team. They still can like pick the last two picks and just kind of flex the Victor Belica however they want to. So they have a very strong early picks going into this draft.
Yeah, and they remove like the Rictor from so we have a phase that I guess will be like the maybe later. So we have the Drongo, like since the Kira being picked, like most of the time we see like Survivor going on the Drongo, and we have a Fae. So probably like Fae for the mid lane. It's a pick that we don't see that much, but can be like very, very strong with the Fly Trap. Do have to be careful about the ganks early on, definitely, because with a Belica, if the Rictor is jungle, just go for a Seismic Assault into a Replash and you're a dead Fae most of the time. So you have to be very, very worried about that, but can be like having a lot of value, especially with like characters that can't really like, get out easily of the Fly Trap like Belica. Kira has a Shadow Glide, but sometimes it's not enough, so curious to see what's going to happen here.
And we're going to be seeing the phase support and Shinbi being locked in. We haven't been seeing the phase support as much in these tournaments, so this is going to be a very interesting dynamic with the Kira and phase and the dual lane, and it does look like it's going to be the Victor jungle and Belica mid. Jimmy can go jungle. I've seen Ray play that himself, so we got to wait and see what the final team comp looks going into this next game.
And we have a Feng Mao, so like professors like debating a little bit about like their usual comp. I guess they have to. I wonder if it will be like Feng Mao on Mr. Guru on the offlane, or if it's a Sevrog and then who is going into jungle. Like from like what they've done in the previous match, I would assume it's Sevrog jungle because it fits better what they were trying to do on Rdawggg, but who knows? But still, like we can see like this very wombo combo type of composition with the Fae into Sevrog, into Decker, into Drongo. Like this, they still have their team fight comp trying to get big burst. But with Faze in the back line and the Reclamation being a pickup, maybe that won't work so well.
Yeah, the team comps are looking very interesting. I would say the professors solo have that little edge because I don't think the Victor can solo tank the front line as well. So it's really going to be down to how the FaZe and Kira is going to be playing together, because I think if the FaZe can really enable the Kira in these team fights, I think the Wolves timing has that advantage. But professors definitely have a very strong, scary front line, especially with that Fae ultimate coming in and just really wrecking everyone on Wolves timing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what kind of gameplays and what kind of team fights we're going to be seeing. So, you kind of mentioned, who is going to be in the jungle? Is it going to be the Richter or is it going to be the Shinbi? And we saw also the Severog or the Feng Mao. There's these flex picks, what kind of game are we going to be into, or we're going to be seeing, right? This is so exciting. Both these teams are coming in hot, and I'm ready to see what they have to offer for us. Joey, what do you like the most about, do you have any comments about what you like about the Professor's draft at all?
I think just overall, I really like how I think both the teams are playing mind games with each other, because with the kind of picks they have, they just can be very flexible into different roles. So it just really comes down to them like thinking, okay, they're gonna do this pick jungle, we should do this, and so we're just gonna really see in game what they decide to go with.
Any last remarks, Mugi, about what we saw on that draft sheet?
Well, I'm excited about 2 points on the side of even worse timing is like I'm going to see a phase being played in competitive,
Yep.
which and probably like in Vecron's hands, so probably like a very capable players. And also like Shinbi, most of the time I feel like Shinbi kind of fall flat, but I think it's a pick that if you're very, very proficient with the pick, you can make wonders. And so I'm curious to see if I'm going to see that today.
Yeah, and I know everybody wants to see this game, but first we're gonna turn it over to Crashy and TJDJ.
Thank you so much, Rdawggg. Welcome to the casting desk. TJDJ here, and I'm going to be joined by Crashy. You all know who he is. It's it's a privilege to be sharing a desk with you, my friend. How are you doing on today?
I'm doing very well. We've had some interesting games thus far, and I've been looking at the drafts, man. That's always my favorite part about MOBAs and the strategy behind it. And right now, I got to be a little bit biased just based on the draft. I'm leaning a little bit Professors this game, but these are some titans of teams, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this set breaks down. The Shinbi pick, that's always a big question mark for me because, she's shuffled around a lot since she came out. She was really strong. She had a bug. They fixed that. And then she kind of fell to the wayside for a little bit. There was like a bruiser Shinbi build with World Breaker that was being thrown around. Now they changed World Breaker, and so she's in that really interesting like AP or magic power assassin kind of role, but I feel like you got to get the ball rolling with her. So a lot of what Mugi said, if you're really proficient with her, I think that she can do a lot of work, but we'll have to see what they can do with it. Now I do think we're going to see that Richter in the jungle, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one as we are dropping down onto the battleground for game number 1 of this semi-final, even worse timing, versus the Professors. Just having a look, where is that Richter going? It's going to be onto Ray. It's going to be going to be picked up here, so that's where the Richter is going. And yeah, going back to that phase pick as well, because like I feel like we have to kind of talk about it, because I know Mugi was really excited to see what this phase can do, especially in a competitive environment. And we have a really good opportunity here, because the even worse timing squad is individual players. They are absolute giants of the game. Like you got 3 of their players in like the top 20 on Omega.City in terms of like their rankings. So these are no pushovers in the slightest. So just going onto the background, just seeing where everyone is at the moment, not getting too many shenanigans for now. There is some deep vision in that red side jungle, but Professors deciding not to go for the commit to that early engage, which had value against Rdawggg.
Yeah, Professors with that really kind of cheesy play they like to pull off. They're looking to go into that jungle and see if they catch someone really quickly, but they're not going to overcommit. They're not going to waste too much time. They don't want to lose any farm, and so they just go ahead and opt to back up. So we are taking a look at it here, and it looks like Guru in the offlane. I'm trying to see what his pick is. That's going to be a jungle Fang Mao. So that was one of those kind of floating picks. We weren't sure exactly where it was going to be. So Guru with the jungle Fang Mao against the Shinbi, and I actually think that's a pretty decent matchup for the Shinbi. So we'll see what Rdawggg can do here. I think he fat fingered his sentry. Oh no, a little bit of a wasted resource, but you know what? Nobody has to know, just all of us watching at home. But,
absolutely caught in 4K in complete high definition there, don't worry. As said, but players are completely unaware of that situation, but we'll just leave that as our best kept secret here at least. But whilst the camera is over here on the duo side, this is a matchup that we really do need to hype up. Survivor and Crazy Fool versus Pablo and Vecron. These are probably in the entire tournament the duo lanes to watch. This is going to be such a hype matchup. I mean, Pablo is as possibly going to be our first back-to-back PCC champion, should even worse timing make it to the finals and then even win the finals as well. And of course, Vecron, another super solid support. But yeah, going up against the likes of Crazy Fool and Survivor, how many hours these two are put into playing together. Their synergy is just really on point. It's going to be explosive.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Now, look at this off-lane matchup again. Snoop kind of taking that power position, getting a lot of poke in, and really starting to progress this lane the way they want it to go. But this is Rdawggg. So Rdawggg, the kind of hero that wants to take their time. They're going to scale. We know that Rdawggg is going to scale, and I really like the Fang Mao pick because of that, right? Fang Mao can kind of, lessen that curve a little bit, slow it down, bring a little bit more to the early to the mid game. That's going to help Rdawggg get where they need to be. So they're still going to have that presence in the late game, even if they do, fall a little bit behind in this laning phase. So Rdawggg has, quite a task on his hands to make some of that good impact. But look at this lane. Rdawggg showing up now is going to be jumping in towards Pablo, but the big pull coming out from Vecron. And the flash coming out. Rdawggg almost picking up the kill. Pablo squeaks away just barely.
Really nice play there by Vecron. Pablo just escapes with the bare skin of his teeth there alone. But, this is exactly as you called it, with what you wanted to see from Rdawggg. That was a gank into mid lane, straight over to that left-hand side, trying to influence the duo side. As we do, according to the scoreboard, do have a kill as well. going to be picked up. I think I blinked at just the wrong possible moment for that one. So if we could just get a quick tab to see where that one went. So yeah, it's gonna be a kill
Pablo,
for Pablo. Yeah, so first blood going the way of even worse timing, and for priority picks for where you want that first blood to go, it's a pretty damn good pick.
Yeah, no kidding. I couldn't have said it better myself. Again, Pablo and Vecron really keeping the pressure here. And this, I think, maybe the first time we've seen FaZe, or at least it's been a bit since we've seen FaZe here in some competitive play. Ray looking to play a little bit forward, maybe taking their back here, just waiting for this camp. So already looking for a little bit of invade, a little bit of that vertical jungling, and just trying to progress this situation further and further. Vecron rotating around, getting some vision, and Pablo picking up that gold. So really good situation here in the duo lane. Ray really close, and with this lane pushed up, they do have that full lane prio. They might be looking to bait out a potential gank here with Ray. So Survivor Crazy Full, probably very uncomfortable. Look at this, the roots are maybe going to go down. There's Ray with the hook, he pulls it in. Pablo getting tons of damage. Will they be able to pick up the kill on Survivor? Not able to do so, but some really good damage to the lane. Ray going to trade that out a bit, but this helps that duo lane progress and push forward further and further, advancing that duo lane lead.
Yeah, this has got to be the game plan, right? Especially when you have the Kira on your team. It's a very glaringly obvious win condition for the side of even worse timing. You have got that late game insurance, because it feels like to me, where I'm watching this, looking at this composition, it's like, right, there's a lot of things that need to all come together to work. I want to talk about this, but Rdawggg having a bit of a Samaj Bargy with the Snoop inside of the jungle. I'm not sure how many camps Rdawggg actually grabbed away from that, but is able to take a little bit of that XP. Some of those micro differences inside of the jungle, especially with Ray being able to vertical jungle on the other side as well. But for now, the solo laners staying into that right hand side. And as I say, he's mainly just been on these junglers here. Rdawggg has had the 2 gangs, has had some impacts, but Ray, is the one that makes that one work.
Yeah, and I actually think that was a huge play coming up from Snoop to kind of interrupt him, because Rdawggg, again, has that really early game to mid-game presence. And, Vecron stopping Crazy Full, just saying, hey, look, I'm going to be a little bit annoying. We're going to continue to control this lane. But again, back to that last point, I think Snoop slowing that down is going to let Ray stay on pace or get ahead of Rdawggg, and that's really annoying, right? Because we're talking about a Richter jungle versus a Fang Mao jungle. That's not really what you want to see. But Ray, he just passed over mid lane. He's already level 5. He's gotten some jungle invade. He's had presence in the lane, and Rdawggg is just kind of already, I don't want to say falling behind, but a little bit in a sense.
Yeah, especially when you have a jungler like this Feng Mao, I feel like those 2 ganks are so critical, because if you actually do find a kill in one or the other, then you've got this snowball kind of rolling. You're going to be feeling good on this Feng Mao. But as you say, Rdawgg's had 2 ganks. They've not worked out, either of them, so he's been losing time in his camps, and that's just allowed Ray to take some of the camps away and get that lead as well. So just having a little look at the levels, some level 6s coming out. So Nora Disrupts for Bellica, Shinbi's got the all kill as well. So we do have some fireworks brewing at the moment. So Faye also with that fly trap here. But for now, aside from just that action in the duo lane, we're 7 minutes in with only the 1 kill going between us. But Vecron really finding a lot of value with some of the energy lances here. It's been spelling an instant Riplash combination as well. But for now, as I say, it's just been some trading. There's only 1 person drops it for now.
Yeah, Ray wiping out that ward close to the duo lane, putting a big focus on the duo lane. Now Soul Reaper gets himself interrupted. Ray standing in the way, the body blocking the knockup. Is it going to be enough? Yes, it is. The kill goes down. That's going to be even worse timing, extending that lead. Ray finding that level 6. We do see Rdawggg over here by the duo lane, maybe looking to make something happen, but Ray looks to be rotating as well.
Yeah, with the Ray in the jungle as well, going to give the information. You can see the wards were down as well. So the duo lane 3 worst timing can at least go back to this gold buff. But with junglers in here, that might be a potential 3 versus 3 brewing. But Ray just kind of playing bodyguard here, not allowing Crazy Full Survivor to actually step up to that gold buff. And this is just building that lead in that duo lane. That's now 2nd consecutive gold buff going the way of Kira. And this is something that even worse time I'm going to be feeling really good about. And even on the right hand side, we've not really been as I say, we had like the initial highlight at the start, but you can see Mr. Guru versus the Snoop, how this lane matchup is going. It looks like it is the level lead for the Snoop at the moment, and even going to be picking up this Cyan buff potentially. This Guru might be able to interrupt it though with a nice well-timed subjugate, or just Colossal Blow. I suppose that is another perfectly valid thing, but now it has used the ultimate. Snoop trying to back away as well. Mr. Guru does still have subjugate, is not going to connect it though, and the Snoop does get away with it.
Yeah, Snoop getting away, and it seems silly to use an ultimate ability for that, but Guru has been pushed consistently, might be losing a little bit of farm to the tower, and I actually think that that's a pretty decent play to make, right? Like, you want to even that out some, you want to get that farm, you don't want to give Snoop the potential to continue or even to snowball the lane. So I think that that's pretty good. I think what we're actually seeing is even worse timing. Oh, Rdawggg coming in the mid. Shin has to try to make some kind of a play here. We do have Crazy Fool showing up here as well, so Shin not able to stay alive. That's going to be Rdawggg picking up their first kill, I believe. Maybe the first kill on the board for the Professors. We do have Ray kind of rotating out here. We'll have to see what he decides to do. Probably just cover this mid tower, and a nice pickup. They're finally finding themselves on the board, and trying to use this Fang Mao to kind of create that early advantage that they're looking for from the Fang Mao pick.
Yeah, 9-10 minutes in, what you expect from the Professors is, this mid-game skirmishing here. Ray actually walking into the jungle to try and contest these camps, but there's still 3 members around. Iron Strike coming out from Crazy Fool, locking up Ray, will blink away, but Rdawggg with the Earth Shatter grabs that at maximum range. But that is another kill going away to the Professors. They even up the score, and the invade pays off. And even, I think Shin might be in a bit of problem in that mid lane if he steps a little bit too far forward. They are on the top rope. Sorry, we're going to drop down the fly trap. We'll confirm the CC lands, and Shin is going to go back to spawn. The Professors pull ahead in the kill game.
Now look at what's happening here. I want to kind of break down all of what we're seeing coming from the Professors. The Professors are having a tough time in the duo lane. Ray is the definition of a jungler that's camping that duo lane. And what do we see from Crazy Fool? He says, hey, listen, guys, we got to change something up. This isn't working for us. I'm going to rotate to that mid lane. We're going to sit here. We're going to pick up a kill. Boom. We're gonna invade that jungle. We're gonna find an opportunity. We're gonna take out Ray. Boom. We're gonna wait again and grab Shin again. Yeah. So a huge momentum swing. We've been seeing a pretty on-pace game for even worse timing, just progressing their lead further and further. And I said, oh, Rdawgg's falling behind. He hasn't really gotten a lot done. In what, 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds time, they've completely turned that around.
Yeah, this just feels like the Professor's playbook right now. We hit that break point where just watching their game against Rdawggg, it was unlocking those rotations. And I guess as well, with Survivor playing the likes of this Rdawggg, a very self-sustaining ADC. He's got the ultimate, he's got the gag grenades, some very nice water coverage, I would imagine, as well. As I don't think Crazy Fool would let his AD carry get away without any wards inside of the lane. But yeah, just starting to make the plays happen, and it sets up a very interesting point here, because now we are at 11 minutes. Neutral objectives are still available. Just having a look at the towers as well. There's only the half HP, never actually a quarter to the left-hand side. The tier 1 tower is still standing for the side of Professors. So, even with the rotation, Crazy Fool comes back to lane. The lane still is intact. But just one, and also you're able to get some solo farm. But now Ray coming for yet another gang onto this side. The Riplash, unfortunately, does go wide, but Crazy Fool hits a very important containment fence.
Yeah, and I mean, we're seeing that consistent kind of gank play, right? Vecron pulling out that energy lance, seeing if they can get that root down on a player. Unfortunately, not able to connect there. Rdawggg clearing out this ward here, but Ray still showing face, still kind of keeping that presence in that duo lane. And this, I'd say, all things considered, this is a very close match. You said it yourself. Yeah. Those objectives are up, but now we are watching even worse timing start to progress this. It does look like the Wild Hunt is in the hands of Ray, and that's like a 1400, 1300 smite with that right click, the right mouse button coming out from Ray, and Rdawggg looking to contest. Are they able to get it down? No. Ray finds it, and this is a big fight. The first ultimate coming down from Ray, and Pablo trying to create as much space as possible back against the wall, using the ultimate as well, just seeing what they can pick up. And so this is a big swing potentially from both teams. So some kills, some objectives. So again, all things considered, that's just the first Fangtooth going down there. I'd call it pretty even here. So it's really not a bad situation for either team.
Yeah, and even on the right-hand side, it looks like the Snoop versus Mr. Guru. They had their 1v1 over by the Cyan buff. Probably Cyan buff getting maybe a little bit of an assist there as well, nearly taking out the Snoop on the back end of that. But that's going to be the isolated 1v1 kill. But yeah, that's over on the left-hand side. Fangtooth going the way of even worse timing, but it costs, 2 kills each as well. And we're going to have a look at the scoreboard and see roughly where is that going to be... what is that going to result in? So, we are hitting some of these important item breaks. Pablo getting that Terminus online, Shin and the Snoop finding their first core items as well. And even for the side of the Professors as well, Megacosm, the Mind Razor coming out. So, we are seeing these points, but it still feels very even. There's only a 20 CS lead across of these teams. There's no team has really found that haymaker punch, but I'm guessing right now that Fangtooth is just the big difference, really.
Yeah, I mean, Fangtooth 1, there's definitely, not much to be said about that, right? It could go either which way, not a huge deal, but that definitely puts a lot of pressure on professors to not allow that to turn into Fangtooth 2, because then again, it creates that same pressure for it potentially to become that 8% stats on Fangtooth 3. So again, all things considered, very, very close matchup. Looking at the tower health, yeah, we got, the left side tower, that tier 1 tower on the side of professors, taking a little bit of damage, but not much damage in the middle lane, and basically nothing going on in the right lane. So lots of isolated fights, and we're seeing Ray, I feel, just have the most presence on the map. Rdawgg's starting to, pull that back in the mid, and we'll see how this progresses, because 14 minutes, this might be one of the closest games that I've seen progress at this actual time in the game.
For sure, it does feel like a knife edge here, and so I'm naturally gravitating towards the mini prime is still available. That solo side to me feels like it's the most volatile state. It can still swing either way. The Snoop did get that 1v1, but we know what this Sevarog can do when we hit the late game, get the stacks online, you have the insurance, and it could be a spot of bother here. But meanwhile, we're going to go back towards the duo side. That stasis bomb is going to go wide from Crazy4, but Rdawgg's still looming around in the jungle. He's got the sentry. He's actually going to go for the reaping dash, hits 2 with the hamstring as well. The Iron Strike comes down. He's going to interrupt Vecron in the energy lands. Containment defense as well, but here comes Ray. Look at the river. Ray and Shin are on the way now, but there's already been 1 kill. The face has dropped, and here comes Ray. Riplash to confirm the impale, and that is going to be a pick straight onto Survivor. Rdawgg will blink away. Shin still looking to follow Crazy4, trying to juke the best they can. Riftwalkers pulls Ray and actually interrupts, but now Soul Reaper from left-hand side is going to grab that the fly trap. Kira throws out the ultimate as well, but there's just not any damage, and that's another Riplash coming out from Ray, and that's going to be a second kill dropping in the duo side.
This game is all Ray all day. He's going crazy with the Richter. And again, that presence, huge showing up and huge follow-up from both teams. So the macro, the ability, the awareness from both teams is absolutely there. We're tied 6-6 with one Fangtooth advantage. The game is still incredibly close, but definitely going towards the side of even worse timing as it inches a little bit further and further. For even though the game is looking even, I think we're seeing Pablo start to split and pull away. So that is going to be a huge thing to take a look at and pay attention to going towards more of these organized team fights. That Fangtooth is going to be coming up here in a little bit. We have a 1-level lead. Survivor taking an absolute beating and goes down. So Pablo, like I said, starting to cement themselves as the carry diff here, and it's looking a little bit grim for professors, as again, if this next Fangtooth does go towards the side of even worse timing, now they might be entering that dangerous territory.
Yeah, the alarm bell's going to be ringing. I don't know what DEFCON we're going to be at when Pablo starts to be able to pull off these plays. But yeah, just taking the pick onto Survivor. They're going to grab the tier 1 tower on the left-hand side as well. First brick, I believe I want to call that, going the way of even worse timing. It's just more money, and that's also, another gold buff going the way of Pablo, who is in very much danger of becoming this raid boss at 16 minutes in. So, for the professors, really going to have to start to worry about it. Meanwhile, Rdawgg, is looming around in the mid lane. Shin is quite far pushed up, so there is a possibility here for some plays at least. But actually, no, on the death timer drops Soul Reaper, and that's Shin getting the 1 versus 1 inside of the mid lane at least, just to add insult to injury. These lanes crashy, they're starting to pull ahead, and it's starting to be even worse timing all the time.
Yeah, we're starting to see maybe that confidence is starting to poke out. We have that duo lane tower, tier 1 is down, which also allows them to kind of set that lane and get ready for this Fangtooth. Now, Ray is stepping in. They have that timer probably going to pop any second. There it is. And can they pull them in? Are they going to be able to get that pressure? Are they just feeling incredibly confident about it? They do have the Fae from Soul Reaper barely spawning up. So they said, you know what? Hey, let's go ahead and rip this down. Let's progress this lead. Let's, let's take that chance. Let's be bold. And that's the difference between a good team and a great team. They understand their windows of opportunity, and they take them instantly without hesitation.
Absolutely. Just give some teams an inch and they'll take the whole damn mile, especially with, I think that's kind of the motto here for even worse timing. So yeah, it's picking up that second Fangtooth. The snowball starts to turn as well. And for the professors, though, especially just today as well, where going back to the last set they played in the quarterfinals event against Rdawggg, there wasn't really... they didn't really have to deal with this. They were in firm control throughout the series, and this time they find themselves a little bit on the back foot. They are going to pick up the first mini prime towards the right hand side. Rdawgg will be able to grab that one as well, but I'm just looking to the left hand side now. The duo lane keeping the pressure up, and actually it might have triggered off a bit of a rotation. You can see Crazy4 making their way through the red side jungle as Pablo is very far pushed up, has got wards, but starting to get a bit of confidence coming out from even worse timing.
Yeah, does get themselves in a pretty far pushed up position. Pablo does still have that pull. There it is. Vecron says, you know what? There's a reason why we're allowed to play this way. We're going to go ahead and allow you to be incredibly aggressive here. But kind of looking back at Rdawggg picking up that mini prime, I'm kind of paying attention to the map. I'm looking at the game state. And to be completely honest, I just don't really see much of a play there with that mini prime specifically, outside of maybe trying to find some kills. So, you know, it is good that they get it off the map. I'd say it's more of a denial than something that they're going to be able to use really offensively to try to find a tier 1 tower or get any kind of crazy lane pressure. But nonetheless, still way better than allowing even worse timing to pick that up and then hard siege it down. Speaking of sieging, though, here they are pushing down this mid lane tier 1.
Yeah, mid lane towers are going to drop, and even the Snoop towards the right-hand side pushing it here. But now, you know, Pablo's got all the attention towards them, and Vecron find themselves very low. Will throw down the link as well. It's going to crash there. The Earth Shatter from Rdawggg will take down the phase. At least there's no way to pull back Pablo, but has still got the Shadow Glide to get away. But that is going to be a pick and shutting down Vecron on this phase, who, you know, for the past 20 minutes has been keeping Pablo alive in these very careful dangers. Ray now with the rotation. Soul Reaper still sticking around on low HP. He's trying to find maybe a Riplash, but able to use the terrain, able to drop down. Riplash will hit on towards Rdawggg here. The Impale comes down. That's a lot of CC, a lot of damage coming out because you have got Shin behind to answer some of the AoE as well. They're still hunting this. They smell blood in the water, but it looks like the Professors are able to get away.
I think there is absolutely so much to be said about the response that comes from both of these teams when their teammates get into these little scuffles, right? Like we saw a huge rotation and a 4-man, you know, attack towards the side of the dual lane coming out from Professors. And what was that followed by? Even worse timing, sending it right back, you know? So both times, you know, these teams make some kind of a coordinated push. They use their numbers. They're trying to flip the map on its head, and then the other team responds. And so, you know, again, while the game is seemingly rather close, we definitely have even worse timing inching further and further with their lead on Pablo with the 2 Fangtooths as well. But still, that awareness, that level of teamwork, the communication that you can seemingly assume goes into that as well is very impressive coming from both teams.
Yeah, and just piggybacking off that as well, you know, it's definitely what you want to take. I want to talk about this, you know, this Guru is going to go for an engage onto Snoop, going to hit the Subjugate. Circle Rhythm comes out. Snoop still is around, you know, Rdawggg did show themselves inside the sorry, that was Soul Reaper showed themselves inside the river. So, you know, again, they are in that vicinity. You have got all Prime now on the map as well. Another big neutral objective to contest as well. But anyway, as we just go into a bit of a lull state, don't worry, I am perfectly caster cursing this, by the way, because I want more action. But I think one of the things with even worse timing to remember is that they are a somewhat air quotes newer team in comparison with the Professors, at least. So it's like big individual players. How do they gel? How do they mesh together? And, you know, seeing this game, I don't think there's any problems about their synergy, at least with how they're actually able to handle the Professors inside of this game. They've certainly got their number, and, you know, again, this outside this dual lane, this game still feels relatively close. We only have just some micro leads coming out here. It's still like one big team fight away from a team having a designated like ahead moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think the minute that we crossed past that 20 point and we went from mini prime to orb prime, that's where it really feels like that next big team fight. You lose 3-4 people on either team, that's the team that's going to start to pull ahead. They're going to be able to get that prime. They're going to be able to start actually sieging down with it. And I don't know, that could be really where we see who's absolutely winning this game, or where we see even worse timing just take the lead and completely finish with it. I got to say, though, this is something I'm really excited to say. Vecron, I feel like, is putting on a performance with FaZe. I feel like Vecron is showing the viability phase, and if you had any kind of questions about how good FaZe can be, it shows you how good FaZe can be in a coordinated scenario where they're absolutely looking to allow their carry to be in these kind of crazy positions and then yoink them right out of them. So FaZe, you know, especially after the kind of mini rework that she got, definitely very interesting. But look at this, Ray getting collapsed on 4 versus 1, looking to potentially stall some time, see if he can back up, and look at that, Vecron right there to back him up.
Yeah, just the energy lands coming from right-hand side field as well. Pablo inside of the river may be able to make something happen here. But, you know, that was 4 members, you know, hitting the invade over towards even worse time jungle. They did take away the red buff. They took away one of the camps as well. So still grouping up the Professors, still trying to find maybe just a bit of weakness as well. Is it one player just overstepping just a little bit and immediately having 4 members collapse? But I think what's telling to me is that, you know, Ray was staring down the barrel of 4 members and Ray did not move. So confident is Ray in their teammates as well. The Fangtooth is going to be started once again, secured, and goes away being worse time. And that's the third one, but now a potential team fight at least. Professors don't really have much of an engage. It's going to be the blink forward coming out from Ray, but can't land the impale. Pablo inside of the purge, looking for the damage, and there goes immediately. Survivor has dropped Vecron, now dealing in a 1 versus 2, but Pablo is here, and Pablo is going to clean up. Vecron stays alive. Crazy Fool can only watch it, shooting fish in a barrel. Even worse timing, find the Fangtooth, and they find 4 kills.
And that's that fight that we were talking about, that exact moment where one team, and the team that was already starting to pull away, is going to push that lead further. Not only are they picking up a bunch of kills, not only is Snoop absolutely dominating this off lane, pushing all the way, like just a bare push all the way to this inhibitor, but they have absolutely cemented that third Fangtooth. You know, 3 Fangtooths unanswered, Fangtooths unanswered.
Let's not go into plural of Fangtooth. That is a rabbit hole that we could spend probably the rest of the broadcast talking about at least. But there's definitely 3 of them, and to even add on top of that as well, I'm going to be grabbing the Orb Prime as well. No possible contest coming out of the Professors. Even worse timing. Firm position here in 25 minutes, and you know, all going to go back, going to reset, spend their very well-earned gold at least. And now the Professors kind of reeling from those last couple of minutes. They need to start to regroup here.
Yeah, and the funny thing about this match, and I do want to make sure I highlight this point, is that for the game state where we are currently, you would think that this was maybe looking like a stomp the entire match, but it hasn't really. You know, we see the 3 Fangtooth on the board, we see the first Orb Prime picked up from the side of even worse timing, but this has been that slow, gradual macro plays and micro plays that have led to these opportunities. And again, this is something, as a player myself, a jungler who I really love macroing the game and thinking about what I can accomplish. As soon as they got those kills, what did even worse timing do? They ran immediately over to Orb Prime. These are those decisions that as a coordinated team, you can't, you know, wait on. You can't, oh, can we do this? You have to have that confidence. You have to have that communication. And really importantly, especially when playing on a team, you have to have that trust.
Definitely here, and you know, from both these teams you can see it as well. There's a bit of an engage going on. Fly Trap was committed, but it's going to be the first drop as Ray was caught out underneath the tier 2 tower. So this fight will be a 4 versus 5 should even worse timing decide to commit to it. But right now they're just taking a bit more of that residual gold that remains inside the map. Tier 2 tower dropping. The Snoop is now making some damage onto the mid tier 2 as well. Pablo so far forward. It's actually going to be pulled in by the Riftwalkers. That's a lot of return damage being pulled away. And there is a shutdown coming out onto Pablo. Huge pickup for the Professors. They're going to still stick around because, you know, Snoop is waiting in the wings. Haven't seen the Shimby in these team fights. It's been very much 4 versus 4. But they're going to keep this inhibitor siege going even though they have lost Pablo. So confidence is even worse timing in this. You know, the Professors want to make something happen. Containment fence goes down on towards Snoop. Vecron changing the link onto Shin to pull themselves away. But they're not letting this pressure go, Crash.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely just the case of knowing that that right lane inhibitor is down. They do have those minions pushing on that right-hand side. So, you know, they're reasonably strong enough that they can just kind of continue to poke here. They're decently safe. But I got to say, taking down Pablo and taking down Ray, that's actually pretty huge. This was potentially what could have been a game-ending push if all 5 of them had stayed up. So the fly trap going into the ultimate coming down from Mr. Guru, pretty huge play to find that pick. That said, Shin finds it right back. Decker not able to stay alive. Crazy Fool gets, you know, basically one-shotted there.
Evaporated, I think I'd say about that one. That was, you know, 1 minute they were there and, well, they're gone instantly. But hey, you know, we're hitting 27 minutes. You know, we'll probably look at the items. You can see some of what Shin has been picking up as well. But this siege is going to carry on going. Ray is back. Pablo's still coming from the mid lane. See, with the Rip Flash, not going to connect onto Mr. Snoop, but so does the Seismic Assault. Does get a fair chunk of damage down. This siege, though, you know, they have still got a little bit of wave clear with Soul Reaper, with Mr. Guru, and also Survivor as well. We can see them just getting poked out here. The Orb Prime giving the regen, giving the buffed up minions. As another wave gets escorted in. Energy Lance fishing for a root. It's going to look towards Soul Reaper into the EPO, but Ray will just confirm with the skewer, and that's going to be the mid laner drop. They've lost a lot of their wave clear. Snoop now in the base in between the 2 towers. Ray and Pablo just going to link up once again, and they're going to grab another kill on towards Crazy Fool as well. The Professor's just conga lining into this even worse timing squad as all 5 still stay around as one. Snoop is escorting waves in towards the base. But actually, I think they probably want to try and end this game here.
I definitely think the potential's there, and one thing that I'm seeing from Even Worse Timing is they just play with so much conviction. They see their potential kill, they go for it. There's the root, there's the hook.
Yeah.
Another kill goes down from Even Worse Timing. They obviously have a game plan. They execute the game plan, and they're looking to close it out here. Game 1 could potentially be going towards the side of Even Worse Timing. They're trying to hold it. They're trying to do that core. Mr. Guru not able to stay alive. Rdawggg has to back up, and with all of these players and seemingly just one wave, maybe 2 waves between Even Worse Timing and the core, I think this is going to go their way.
Yeah, they're going to have to wait 50 seconds or 42 seconds to actually get all 5 members on the board here. They are really trying to hold it here. Another Seismic Salt lands, and that's just going to be another death onto Crazy Fall underneath the core. Ray pushing forward, trying to push these members away, but we knew the inevitable was going to happen. Even Worse Timing take game number 1, and they take it in style at the end, Crashing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I said before, it was a really close game for like 14, 15, 16 minutes. Even Worse Timing, they were stepping forward, and Pablo the whole time had control. They had control of the lane. They had control of, even though, the kills were 4-4, 4-5,
Yeah.
it was mostly Pablo that was stepping it forward. So that game really was a lot of Pablo, but it was also a lot of Ekron. And it was a lot of Ray, and it was a lot of response from all of the team members. And again, I loved that play coming out from the side of the professors. They rotated over towards mid. They found an opportunity to pull it back a little bit, but Rdawggg just not really getting a lot of that early game impact. In Guru, he never really got to scale, right? Snoop had his number. He was pushing the lane down. He just never really got there. And what a performance from Even Worse Timing.
Yeah, definitely a lot to think about. But for the Even Worse Timing fans in the Twitch chat, there's a lot to be excited about as well. But the professor's going to have to go back to the drawing board. And, there are a lot of picks and a lot to break down in a very interesting game number 1. We're going to throw it to the analyst desk to talk a little bit more about how Even Worse Timing took game 1 from the professors.
Welcome back, everybody. What a game 1 in this series. I'm back with Joey and I'm back with Moogie. Even Worse Timing versus the professors. What an incredible match. I just love watching how these players in their respective teams were able to coordinate, harmonize in this choreography of a game. The professors just holding on as long as they can, but Even Worse Timing coming out on top of game 1. Joey, you voted for this team and they were able to take game 1. Talk to me about what you thought of what we just saw.
I think what Worse Timing did really good this game is they went do excellent job with going for isolated picks. Like, look at the Victor jungle, they got the Bellica, they got the phase root. They have a very good picky kind of team comp, and they took a pick after pick after pick as we move to the mid to late game. And I think one other key factor in how this match played out is the fact that Shimmy was dominating against the Rdawggg and keeping him in that lane and even solo killing him to get the inhibitor. So the fact that they don't have the Rdawggg in these team fights makes it so much harder for professors to really come up on top.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised about that too. I thought that Rdawggg was definitely going to dominate that lane, but Mugiwawa, what stood out for you, and what are your thoughts watching that game 1?
Well, what a game. No disrespect for anyone that was in the quarterfinal, but we really step up in the semifinal in terms of level. You can see that every single player in that match has to work to get the kill. The whole early game, for 9 minutes, only 2 kills, and Even Worse Timing had to work so hard to get there. Then Professor came back. The first Fang2s was super, super duper close. It was really anyone's game. But it's true that we started to see a little bit of cracks, the Rdawggg, like Shui said, was completely isolated on the off lane. And that meant that around the 14, 15 minutes mark, Ashley was saying, a few bad fight on the side of Professor, kind of started to give it a little hedge that they converted into a second Fang2s because Professor wasn't there. And then slowly but surely, now that we had the Snoop that was knocking at your inhibitor at 24 minutes alone, forcing people to be there, losing the third Fang2s. Yeah, against a team Even Worse Timing, you can't come back when it's so close when they have this Fang2s buff on top of them.
Yeah, and I think each player from Even Worse Timing was also doing a good job in their respective lanes. And Ray, with the Richter, able to amplify their abilities and able to elevate what each lanes were doing, right? Joey, any things that stood out to you the most watching that match?
I think the other thing that stood out to me is the fact that I think Wade did a really good job playing for that dueling. We saw eventually how the professors kind of like gave up on dueling and tried to get something happening mid, but the Pablo and the Fergal on the dueling were just really unstoppable. Like Fergal keeping Pablo very safe and Pablo able to go for really aggressive picks. And I think it just worked out very, very well for them.
Mugi, any other last remarks about game one?
Well, I was excited to see a phase, and Vecran didn't disappoint. Like, beside the fact that he was basically offering a free blink on cooldown with the link for Pablo, so Pablo can be aggressive and snowball out of control. And also in the late game, like, it was beautiful to see like the methodical sieging from even worse timing, just using the Kamehameha basically, and then
Yeah.
whiplash someone away, and that was like a free kill every single time, and they just rinse and repeat. Very well played by them.
Yeah, very much looking forward to game two. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. We're going to go for a break.